Ladies and gentlemen.
We're listening.
I have a story to tell you.
Oh shit.
Do you want to hear it?
Sure, sure. What's the story about?
It's about a man named Albert Fish.
Albert Fish. Warning, graphic content inside.
I can see you from
Hamilton Howard Fish. What you got?
Okay. This jackass is shooting at me. Albert Fish. Okay, he's an American serial killer. If you haven't heard about him, he's pretty crazy. Oh my damn. He was born in May of 1870 in Washington, D.C. His dad was Randall Fish, and his mom was Ellen Fish. The crazy thing about this, I don't know if you knew this, Dante, but his dad was 75 years old when Albert was born.
Really?
His dad was 75 years old, and he died when Albert was 5 years old at the age of 80. So Albert Fish, him and his family, they had mental health issues was a problem in his family. His mom suffered from it. His brother was actually in an asylum, and his uncle had mania. So Albert Fish, he struggled with a lot of
Mental health.
A lot of stuff growing up. But at the age of 9, his mom could no longer take care of him. She was struggling mentally and financially. His dad was dead, so him and his 3 siblings were sent to an orphanage. But the orphanage wasn't good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of abuse going on, and from what I understand, not only did they abuse him, but they encouraged abuse. So it was a boys' orphanage. It was just boys. They encouraged abuse among the boys. So not only was there physical abuse by the people who worked there, there was also abuse among the boys. I didn't say exactly what, but I'm assuming probably sexual stuff was encouraged, as well as beating one another. Anyways, Howard was exposed to this. Not Howard, shit. Albert was exposed to this at a very young age. So he grew up around watching people be in pain. The boys at the orphanage were, obviously, they did not like it. They didn't like being beaten. And they were terrified of the place. They were terrified of it. But Albert, for whatever reason, got a kick out of seeing others in pain.
Yeah.
And out of feeling pain himself. So, growing up, he was exposed to this. And so eventually, he kind of associated this feeling of pain and watching others in pain with sexual pleasure. So, I think, I don't know what age it was he got out, but eventually his mom was able to get him and his siblings out. She was financially stable, and she was doing better mentally. So she goes and she gets Albert out. But at this point, the damage was pretty much done. There wasn't much. He had already experienced all of it for several years. At this point, it was just, there was nothing that they could do.
Yeah.
So Albert gets out. He's went through all of this. He was suffering this abuse. He gets out. He gets taken to his mom to a normal life. But once he's out, he starts abusing himself because he gets a kick off of it. So when he goes home, he starts self-harming, beating himself. And what he would do is he would take needles and he would push them and embed them into his groin area and into his abdomen.
He also
And he would
made,
make
yeah, he also made his children do that too. Like when he got married and had kids. 'Cause I believe
Yeah,
he
I
had
mean,
kids.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did have kids, which is crazy to me because his obsession with boys. But he would also use a paddle with a nail, and he would hit himself in the abdomen. But while he was... Oh crap, they got me. You mother trucker. Okay, while he was home, he got affiliated with a boy. It was in 1882. He came home. He got affiliated with a telegraph boy. And this boy, who was still a child just like him, introduced him into the consumption of human waste. So he became obsessed with this idea of consuming human waste at a young age with this young boy. So then this also led to the sexual self-mutilation, which is when he started putting the needles in himself. But fast forward, he turns 20. In 1890, he moves to New York City. Alexis, are you there? Are you there, Alexis?
Yeah.
Okay. He moves to New York City in 1890. He's 20 years old. And this is when it really starts to get bad because he starts to hurt others. And his main focus was children.
Yeah.
So first, he moves to New York. He starts right away. He starts prostituting himself. And while he's prostituting himself, he starts luring young boys out of their homes. I don't know how he does it. I don't know who's gonna come outside when they see a male prostitute and just be like, oh hey, that sounds like a great idea, you know?
I think what he did mainly is his older, he would come and be like, hey, my granddaughter is having a birthday party. Can I invite you to come over? And I mean, you gotta think about the time frame that was back then. That was back in when, you know, you never locked your doors and you would let your child go an adult because they were an adult.
Yeah, and he did something like what you said with one of his first victims. But I don't know, I guess because it is the time change. I just think it's weird to see a male prostitute outside of your house as a child and think it's just this great idea to go out there.
Yeah.
But he does. He goes outside, he lures young boys out, and he would capture them, he would rape them, and he would torture them. And he would torture them with the nail-studded paddle that he liked to use on himself, but I guess just worse. And then, like you said, in 1898, he marries a woman and has 6 children with her. 6 children. And it's, from what I understand, he never abused them.
Which is weird given the fact that he liked the sexual gratification of, you know, giving pain to someone and receiving pain.
Switching sides.
So he
Yeah.
enough to do it to his children, but he did it to other people's children.
So I wonder, I don't know, Alexis, what do you think? I wonder, do you think maybe he loved them, or I don't even know if he was capable of love, considering everything that, I mean, you'll eventually find out. What do you think, Alexis?
Alexis is really
I don't know. That's hard to tell. Probably, I mean, it's a hard thing to tell if he loved someone or not. You would think, since he didn't do it to his children, I mean, there was some sort of boundary to where he didn't. Was
Maybe
the
he just didn't want to
boundary
get
that he
caught by
loved
his
them,
wife.
or yeah, like, was that the boundary? Is that maybe because he felt like he was more willing to get caught?
Well,
Or
whatever
was
the
it
reason,
love?
he never violently abused them. So, but, I mean, he still was raping and torturing other children the entire time.
I feel
But,
like, I feel like, you know how people say, oh, I have demons and everything? It's like how the doctor says, oh, you're not supposed to itch this, but you really need to, like, your body tells you, hey, I gotta itch this. I felt like it was more of a thing that he needed to do, like, it just, like, something that he craved to do so much that it just led him to do all these things. But, you know, I guess that could be the boundaries why he never did it to his kids, because he couldn't stand the pain that he would have caused them, or he didn't want them to go through what he went through.
Oh my god, I got flashed through Skype here. Well, he ends up, I think, in 1910. He's a guy who does side jobs. He doesn't have like one main job. He does odd jobs here and there, and that contributed a lot to how he got some of his victims. But in 1910, he was a house painter. He was working in Delaware, and he met a man named Thomas Kedden. Thomas Kedden was someone that he said he was having an affair with. But whether or not that's true, we don't know. We don't know if all of it was 100% consensual either. But he said he was having this affair with Thomas Kedden. It was 10 days after they first met. Albert told Kedden, hey, come to this abandoned farmhouse and we're gonna have sex. Thomas shows up to the abandoned farmhouse to have sex with Albert. And he walks in and he gets locked in by Albert. Albert locks him inside the farmhouse. And from there, Albert kept him there for 2 weeks. And he tortured Thomas to a point that it's crazy. He mutilated Thomas. He mutilated all parts of his body. He actually cut off half of Thomas's penis. He cuts off half of his penis. And then he does that for 2 weeks, rapes, tortures him. This is the part that obviously, I mean, assumes not consensual. I don't know, but we're assuming it's not consensual. Thomas had a little bit, according to Albert, had a little bit of a mental disability. He wasn't all there in the head. But, anyways, after 2 weeks, Albert let Thomas go, which is very weird. He let Thomas go, and he gave him $10. He basically said, hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for letting me cut off half of your penis and mutilate the rest of your body. Here's $10 for your troubles. That's pretty much how it went.
Yeah. And why did you never go to the police about this? I mean,
I don't know, but I think it's not funny, but like $10 for all of that, and you just let him go.
I mean, how much would $10 be back in the day? Like back then, was it?
Well,
like...
it was the early 1900s, so it's probably, I would say, anywhere from $50 to $100 for us. But still.
But that's your penis, like.
He cut it off, and he mutilated other parts of his body. And in an interview later, after he'd been caught, he said, quote, I shall never forget his scream or the look he gave me, end quote. So he obviously really loved this, which is why I don't 100% believe that it's like,
yeah,
that he just wanted to do it. I feel like he really wanted to do it because he was proud of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, this goes on for a few more years. Albert claims to have killed and raped and mutilated a child and ate a child in every single state, but we don't know if that's true. But by 1917, which is a few years, 7 years after the whole Thomas incident, his mental illness was getting really bad. And so his wife ended up leaving him for another man. After this, Albert's self-harm started getting worse. Everything just started getting worse. He kind of went more downhill. Not only was he pressing more and more needles into himself, and actually, if you look up Albert Fish's pelvis, there's an x-ray of Albert Fish's pelvis after he'd already got captured. Of all of these, I think it was like 29 needles that he had pushed inside of his abdomen and pelvis that are still in there. So it's not like he just pushed them in and pulled them out. He left them in there. But after his wife left him, he was still doing that, but it got worse now. He was now stuffing wool into his anus after he dipped it in lighter fluid, so he was putting lighter fluid covered wool up his butt and then setting it on fire. And he got off on that.
And it's like, how could he deal with it? I mean, you know, like, I can imagine someone going through that much pain. I mean,
he loved it.
That's setting your, you know, your ass on fire, basically.
Yeah, that's your booty hole.
Like,
I mean, I know that the man's G-spot is up there, but I don't know about the whole setting fire stuff. I don't think... Shouldn't joke about it, but... Anyways, he starts to have hallucinations. They're mostly auditory, so it's just things that he can hear. But he said that John the Apostle told him to, like, wrap himself up in a carpet for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what that did. It doesn't sound like it would be painful, but he was hearing these things. He was saying that holy figures were telling him to do these things, and that was kind of his excuse. Like, God was telling him to do it. John the Apostle was telling him to do it. Angels. He was seeing angels. And at this time, he was still getting custody of his children, and he began to teach them, like, really weird games. I don't know exactly the games. I couldn't find it, but just really evil kind of games. And this, he eventually led to obsessing with cannibalism.
yeah.
So when he started obsessing with cannibalism, before he started getting human flesh, he started to get raw flesh. So cows, pigs, raw flesh, he would get them, he would take them home, and he would actually try to get his children to eat the raw flesh with him, but they didn't. So that was good. It was great. So 2 years later, 1919. Am I the last slide? No. Doing awesome. By 1919, his obsessions had just come to an all-time high. He decided in 1919 that he was going to look for children. He was going to look for the most vulnerable children he could find. Basically, any child that he thought would not be missed, that nobody would notice was gone. Which I find it ironic to hear this, considering his first, or his most famous victim obviously was missed. But anyways. So, his most famous victim, I'm going to tell you about her first. Her name was Grace Budd. Grace Budd was a 10-year-old girl. She was 4 feet tall. She weighed 60 pounds. And this is odd because, remember, in the past, all of his obsessions were with men and young boys, because that's how he grew up. Initially, he was not going for Grace. Grace was not his first target.
No, I think he
But
was
when
going for Edward.
Yeah, Edward, his older brother. He was going for Edward. He put an ad. Edward put out an ad that he was looking for work. And Albert responded to the ad and was like, I have a farmhouse and I need some help. Would you like to come? He went to go meet Edward. Edward was deciding, am I going to go out here and help this man? And in the meantime, he sees Grace behind Edward and his 2 parents, this little 10-year-old girl. And at that time, I guess he just decided that he was going to take Grace instead for whatever reason. So he decides he's going to take Grace, and right away, like you mentioned earlier, he told Grace that his niece in town was having a birthday party, and he asked Grace if she wanted to come with him to the birthday party. So Albert Fish, he was an average guy. It was back in the early 1900s. People trusted each other, even though he was a complete stranger. The parents were like, yeah, sure, take Grace, take her to the birthday party, let her go have a great time, let her eat some cake, bust open piñata. No. That is not what happened, let me tell you. So he takes Grace. They never see her again. He takes Grace. He buys her a one-way ticket because he knows they're not coming back. And they go to his torture chamber. Okay, you don't have to be so damn loud. Who's shooting?
Locate and destroy the concealed rogue.
So he takes Grace to the intended torture chamber that he was going to initially use on Edward, but is now using on Grace. He tells Grace, go outside, pick some flowers, have a good time, you know, whatever. Albert goes inside, and he undresses, because he decides that if he's going to do this, if he's going to kill Grace, he can't get blood on his clothes. He just can't do that. That would give him away. So he goes inside, he gets undressed, and then he walks back outside. Walks back outside. Grace sees him. She's like, you know, she's 10. She's like, I can't see this man naked. So she screams and she starts to run away because she knows something is wrong. And right when she starts to run away, Albert grabs her and stops her from running. And he takes her inside. And this part is a little rough to listen to, but this is what happened. So Albert said that once he grabbed her and he dragged her inside, he undressed her completely, and he we assumed raped her. And then she did struggle. He said she struggled a lot. But he eventually ended up choking her to death. Then he cut her entire body into small pieces. And so he could transfer the meat into his room. And he cooked it and he ate it. It took him, according to Albert, it took him 9 days to eat all of Grace.
Let's talk about the cutting. Like, even at 60 pounds and you only being 10 years old, I mean, bone is hard to cut through. Imagine how much time.
Oh yeah, I'm imagining. Yeah, I'm sure it took him a while, but he got off on it. He enjoyed the mutilation process. And he also enjoyed her struggling. That was another big turn off for him. But the things that gets me the most about it, and the thing that stuck out with me the most, is that after he killed her, he decided it would just be a fantastic idea to send a letter to the family and just add more pain to the whole thing.
I thought it was a couple of years after he you know, killed her and everything, because I thought it was a couple of years.
It might have been a couple years. I just know that he sent one to them, and
the words that he used in that letter were that I feel sorry for her. I mean, anybody who ever read a letter like that, I mean, I think one line in it was like, it took me 9 days to eat her sweet ass. Being a parent,
yeah, no, and he told them exactly how he did it, which is horrible. He told them exactly how he did it. He told them that it took him 9 days to eat her. I mean, he was just horrible. He did it because he wanted to hurt them. He wanted to make them upset. He wanted to add more onto their plate. At least that's what he said. Where is these last 3 people? What the hell?
Top off your ammo. We're going back in.
But he told them how he did it. He said that it took him 9 days to eat the body. Let's see what else was there.
I mean, he never knew he was going to get caught writing a letter.
Yeah, he got caught writing the letter because he wasn't very smart. He didn't, you know, it said where he was from, and then the police ended up tracking where the letter came from. And he was able to figure out where he lived. Or not where he lived, where he was staying. I'm finding a hiding space. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I feel pretty confident about my spot.
Dang. So this guy.
Oh, here's how he started the letter. It said, "Dear Mrs. Budd, quote, on Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called on you at her address. You cheese, strawberries, we had lunch. Grace sat in my lap and kissed me. I made up my mind then to eat her." End quote. Damn, what the hell?
We're going back in.
How did he even... Oh, we saw you knew him in Alexis. But isn't that horrible? I knew then I was gonna eat your daughter. That's just something horrible to say to a parent. Anyways, that one happened. It took them a while to ever find Grace or find out that he did it because, like you said, it was after the fact. But there were a couple others that were pretty bad. It was the other two were two young boys as well. One was... Oh yeah, he admitted to one in every state. But they don't know. Yeah, because they could never tell if his stories were true.
But I mean, the way he practiced cannibalism, I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to get evidence if it's in your stomach.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds. I mean, that just. Just imagine.
I think it's horrible because all of his victims, he tortured them to death. There was a 4-year-old boy named Billy Daphne, and Billy disappeared when he was outside playing. And that is where he got one of his names. The 3-year-old boy who watched him get taken called him the Boogey Man. And said that he was an elder man and that he had like a gray face. But they looked everywhere for little Billy and they could never find him. But there were sightings of Billy on the trolley with, well, they didn't know if it was Billy, but there were sightings of a boy on the trolley crying for his mom with an older man. But nobody did anything then.
I mean,
But
back then, you know, cell phones, payphones. I mean, and you know, they didn't even have Amber Alerts back then, so like no one would ever know those two.
yeah, no Amber Alerts. But I don't know. I guess probably wouldn't have done anything either. But he admitted to the kidnapping and murder of Billy, and he took tools, and he said he cut one of his belts in half, he cut it out, and he whipped Billy on his back and on his butt until Billy bled. So he whipped Billy until he was just all in blood. It was bad. But after, hold on, I'm finding this one. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. After that, he cut off Billy's ears. Mind you, Billy is alive this entire time. So this is some hardcore, this is some shitty torture. He cut off his ears, he slit his mouth from ear to ear like the Joker. Billy was still alive, and then he gouged his eyes out. And it was during the process of him gouging Billy's eyes out that Billy finally died. Then he stuck a knife in his belly and put his mouth to his stomach and drank his blood as a goose out. Which, this is just sick. You know, that is sick. No one was ever able to find Billy's remains. But the third victim they were able to find. guess they were able to find the bones. I'm assuming. I don't think Albert ate the bones. But Francis McDonald, that was the third one that they found. They found his body in the woods. I think it says that Billy thought he heard somebody coming up out of nowhere, and that's why he left and ran the body, so that's why they found the body. But after this, Albert Fish was put to death. He was sent to death in the electric chair. He confessed to being the one who killed Francis, who killed Billy, who killed Grace, and he also confessed to killing a child in every state, and plus more. Whether or not he did, we don't know. He tried to plea innocent by insanity, but that didn't work out because he got found guilty within 10 days of the trial, and he was sent to the electric chair pretty soon. And it said that one of his last words while he was in the electric chair was, "I don't even know why I'm here." That's what he said. Like, he didn't find anything wrong with what he did. He bragged about everything that he did and every single person that he killed, and he got off on it. It's crazy.
That has a lot to do with his mental health. Like, he's probably suffering from schizophrenia. A lot of stuff he suffered from, but that has no excuse on what his actions were. Like, the electric chair was perfect for a person like Albert Fish. Like,
It took them 2 volts to get him. So, he probably felt the first one. I hope he did.
knowing him, he probably liked it.
Yeah. And they said that most likely the reason why it took 2 volts is because of all the needles in his damn abdomen. But that is the story of Albert Fish. He's crazy. He's a psychotic little bitch. And who knows how many kids he killed. But he just is, he sounds like a horrible, horrible human being. He was a horrible human being. I cannot imagine killing and mutilating all of those children. Finding joy and hearing them scream and begging to be let go. I don't know.
It's just like,
Don't let the search team destroy you.
Lord. And like, I mean, I know when you're young they say, you know, stuff can kind of imprint on you, like if you're raised a certain way. But I don't see how that like he liked it. He really liked it to the point where he did it a lot. And I mean, there was a stretch in a couple of years between each time he did something really bad. But I think that was him afraid that he might get caught.
Yeah. He was just a horrible, evil bitch of a person. Alexis, what do you think?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got killed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I believe
It's like I said about, told you that entire story.
you. Yeah. That's all I gotta say.
So,
Did you listen to it?
Yep.
Who was the first victim?
Grace.
Who's the second victim?
I don't. Boy.
That's what I
2
thought.
young boys, right?
Yes.
I mean, like, for anyone really wanting to know anything about Albert Fish, there is a movie called The Gray Man. The story of Albert Fish. By Scott Flynn. It doesn't have no big name actors in it that I know of. But definitely go check it out. I mean, you can always go and check out. You can type it in YouTube and probably find a bunch of documentaries about it. It's one of those things that it's definitely graphic. So, about it.
Your discretion is advised.
Warning.
Are you scared?